Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you a movie review. This time we're going to be talking about Resident Evil Damnation. Got my copy right here. Get a good look at it. Got it on Blu-ray. And yeah, I said I was going to do more Resident Evil videos, and here they are. You know, I just did my review of Resident Evil 5 not that long ago. I did see Resident Evil Degeneration, which was the movie before this one, Damnation being the sequel. You know, I probably should have gone back and watched that one, but, you know, I thought that was a pretty decent one too, and overall I really did like Damnation. I actually liked it a bit more than Degeneration, probably partially because Ada was in this movie, and I just love Ada Wong. Yeah, so there will probably be a time when I do go back and force myself to watch some of the actual live action movies, but I just do not appreciate how they just mess with the history of Resident Evil and the characters, but I don't want to go off on a rant about that right now. What makes these CG films so great is that it fits into the world of the game. You know, I think it's within the game's canon as far as I know. Like from what I read, this one is supposed to take place between Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5, and it does have clips from or like little scenes that are playing throughout the credits if you watch it far enough, which is really cool, from Resident Evil 6 and the credits of this one. And I should probably tell you a little bit about the story of this movie. And so they're in the world of the games, and they still tie into what the world the games have created and the characters' histories and such. And so I really appreciate that about it. So this really does it justice in a way that the movies never have. So I really appreciate these CG films. And from what I hear, there's going to be a third one they're making. It's supposed to be called Resident Evil Vendetta, I believe, which is supposed to include both Leon and Chris Redfield, which is going to be awesome. But yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about the plot. I could just read it off the back of it to you guys. The back of it's pretty cool looking, by the way. But basically, Leon, you know, he's sent into this, I think it's Eastern European, I think. Yeah, Eastern European country, and he's there to verify rumors that VOWs are being used in the sort of rebellion, or what do they call it? Yeah, basically it's being used in this war. You know, these rebels are coming up against, you know, the government, basically, and there's this whole conspiracy and corruption within that. You know, we're kind of used to seeing that in Resident Evil, so it's kind of more of that. So Leon's down there to look into the VOWs being used. You know, as you can see, liquors are heavily in this movie. You know, you can see them in the thumbnail. Mostly they're looking into creatures like that being used. And basically Leon is told he has to pull out, you know, anyway, that's what she said, The Office, right? Anyway, Leon is told he has to leave, you know, because, you know, they have made this deal. There's this thing that, I don't know how to describe it the right way. Okay, yeah. He's informed that the government has ordered an immediate retreat of all U.S. forces, but Leon, you know, he's really determined. He has a lot of personal, you know, just the way Leon is. He wants to complete this mission. He wants to help people. He wants to make sure this is put down. Chris Redfield would probably try to do the same thing. And, you know, he's very much committed to what his job is. You know, he tries to avoid all the, he tries to avoid cutting corners. He tries to avoid, you know, sort of skipping. You know what I mean? But anyway, you know, he's told he has to pull out, but he actually doesn't. You know, he goes and keeps on looking into it himself, and eventually he meets this guy named Alexander, I think his name is. He's the leader of this rebellion. Then we find out that there's actually ways people are learning how to sort of, not train, but sort of like take control of BOW, sort of using those like, not so much pets, but more so like workers in like a beehive, as it's described. And, you know, he ends up being able to use the liquors like that, which is actually pretty interesting, I thought. And then meanwhile, you have Ada Wong. She's posing as a BSAA agent, which we all know is horseshit. But of course, apparently the Ada Wong name isn't around enough for people to, throw up flags when they hear it. But she sneaks in and she's sort of looking into things herself. Of course, Ada being very mysterious, being very unknown of who she's actually working for, what her motive and agenda truly is. And throughout the entire series, the games have managed to keep that mystery, to keep that sort of mystique about her, I guess. Sometimes I would like to see the origins of Ada Wong, or to know a lot more about her, but I sort of do appreciate in a way that we don't. It does add another thing to her character in another way. So we have that Ada and Leon dynamic here. They mentioned this night when they want to continue it that they had together. Now, people are debating on what this is referring to. Some people are thinking it refers to like a kiss they shared in one of the earlier games. Some people think they actually slept together at some point between Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5. Some people think they were on a date and they got interrupted because of what they're both involved in. But either way, I do like the Ada Wong and Leon dynamic in this movie. It's as good as always. And Leon also makes friends with this guy named JD, who grows to trust Leon. I found JD to be a pretty enjoyable character, but of course he ends up being infected and such, and he has to be put down, unfortunately. And the lickers in this movie, they're fun as well as always. And let's see. And yeah, so that's basically the plot of the movie. Ada's wrapped up in it all. Of course, the conspirators within the government of that country, and you end up you do feel for Alexander's cause, or Buddy's cause, whatever you want to call him. You sort of get the perspective he's coming from. He comes off a little bit more like a villain, like midway through the movie, but then him and Leon sort of ended up working together. And yeah, the story in this is pretty good. It's not as good as some of the games, but it definitely holds up better than the movies do. It definitely feels like it's still, good enough to exist in the world of the games. And the CG in this movie, it's pretty good. It's on par with what we've seen in Degeneration. There are moments that are like little animations where you see him like running down an alley where it looks a little bit like stiff, like you just see him, and then you see like their legs moving, like, and they move so fast or something. It looks a little bit off or unnatural sometimes. But overall, I do think it's pretty fluid and smooth looking. And the hair doesn't look too plasticky. It does, move when they move and such. So it's not bad at all, really. The voice acting is pretty good. We had Matthew Mercer voicing Leon himself. Let's see, I'm not sure if he voiced... Let's see. Yeah, he did voice Leon in Resident Evil 6, which works out pretty well. And then we also had Courtenay Taylor voicing Ada Wong, who I love as Ada Wong. I don't want any other voice actress for her. She voiced Ada Wong in Resident Evil 6 as well. I just think she's perfect. I know some people like the one that voiced her in 4, but I think Courtenay Taylor just nailed it in the game and in the movie here. But yeah, and we also had, I mentioned the lickers, and we have like regular infected zombie type things, which are, cool, and there are some intense sequences in a tunnel when Leon and JD are trying to escape, which I really liked. It does actually create some suspense, and it does have massive action at the end as well, so it's a pretty good mix in the movie. We also have Tyrants in this movie, and those things are intense as hell, man. And we get this huge battle scene. It feels like a boss battle at the end of one of the Resident Evil games, because you think they're dead, but no, they're pretty much unstoppable. And, some people are going to complain the action is too heavy, it should be more about the survival horror, but it did have elements of that in the movie as well. Like I said, when Leon and JD are trying to escape in the earlier mid parts of the movie, I think they did have that. And all the action scenes with the Tyrants are great. They're really intense with the being so big, but yeah, they could run so fast. It's really almost scary in a way. And the way Leon and Alexander have to take them down, it's pretty cool. But yeah, and we also get this scene with, of course, Ada does help Leon at the end. She does hack into an elevator and open it for him so he doesn't get crushed by one of the Tyrants. She says he owes her, but she always looks out for him like that. How the dynamic is if you're a fan of the series. And then we see Ada at the end. You know, she speaks to her employer. She retrieved what she wanted with the Plaga symbol. It was even her plan to get it trapped by the, you know, the woman, the president, in there, so she could get closer to the symbol, which I thought was pretty cool, and, you know, of course, is accurate to the intelligence of Ada. Excuse me while I turn off my watch here. We see her at the end. She has the Plaga symbol retrieved for her employer, but she haggles, and she says that she's not quite decided whether or not to give it away. And yeah, so, you know, she works for people, but she's very much on her own. She's very much in it for herself, whatever that is, we don't know, but I still like the mystery around her. Ada's awesome in the movie. Leon's really cool. The writing for Leon is a little bit cheesy at times. You know, he does have like these one-liners or jokes that are a little bit or a little bit cringe. Like this joke he makes about like the Scarecrow and you know, just like the Tin Man and stuff. I felt like he dragged it out a little bit too long at the beginning. But Leon himself, he's cool. You know, he gets pretty badass when the shit does start going down. So I'm glad to see Leon in this movie, and it's gonna be awesome to see both him and Chris in the next one. That's gonna be amazing. But yeah, overall, I did really enjoy this one. Resident Evil Damnation definitely does a higher amount of credit to the games than the actual live-action movies do. I'm glad it's in the world of the games. It's definitely worth checking out if you're a fan. Not the best story, but, you know, it's worthy of existing in the canon. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys saw the movie and Degeneration as well. What you guys think about Vendetta, Resident Evil Vendetta coming up as the next CG film. And yeah, so I'll catch you guys next time. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and thecurrentspoileddead.com. And peace. Ada, man, she's awesome.